Hey everyone, welcome back to When Creatives Thrive, a BOPA podcast. I'm Stuart Rustin, the multimedia manager at BOPA, and on this week's episode we feature Chris Wisniewski, the executive director of the Alliance for Young Artists and Writers. Chris was formerly the executive director at the arts organization Studio in a School and deputy director of education and visitor experience at the Museum of the Moving Image. Each year, the Alliance for Young Artists and Writers presents the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards for students in grades 7 through 12. As the 2025 Maryland affiliate for the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards regional competition, BOPA was tasked with collecting and evaluating submissions from all 27 Maryland counties. Along with hearing from Chris, this episode will also feature several award-winning students who gathered at the top of the world observation level in downtown Baltimore to receive an array of prizes, which range from an honorable mention, silver key, or gold key. The top 5 submissions in the region for visual art are named American Visions nominees, while the top 5 for writing are named American Voices nominees. Chris, welcome to When Creatives Thrive. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So for those not familiar, can you tell us more about the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards that you manage?
Absolutely. So the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards were started over 100 years ago by the founder of the Scholastic Book Publishing Company. And the idea when they were started is still our guiding principle. It was to extend the same sort of recognition that young people in the fields of, for example, athletics, receive in their teenage years, to those young people who excel in matters of the mind, art, and spirit, as it were. So the awards recognize teenagers who are creating original visual art and writing in 29 different categories. Over the course of these 100 plus years, we've grown to become the country's largest and most prestigious recognition for creative teens, and one of the largest sources of scholarships for creative teens in the country. And every year we see over 300,000 entries from teens in all 50 states and Canada. And there are opportunities for recognition at the regional level through partnerships all around the country. And then the top tier regional award winners are forwarded to us in New York City for consideration for national awards. And every year we give between 2,000 and 3,000 national medals, including several $100,000 in scholarships. And the awards have a long-standing pedigree of very noteworthy alumni, folks from Stephen King and Andy Warhol to Amanda Gorman and Shabalala Self. It's a really impressive roster of alumni. And one of the great fun things about my job is that because the awards have been running for so long and have such a tremendously wide impact, I'm always meeting alumni in every corner of the country and in many different fields and careers, and hearing about the impact that the awards had on them and their self-image and their development when they were teenagers and their, in many cases, their eventual careers.
Chris, we actually had the opportunity to meet many award winners at the Maryland Regional Scholastic Awards ceremony. So now I'd like to go live to the top of the world observation level to hear remarks from our CEO, Robin Murphy, who addressed students, parents, and educators.
It is truly my honor to welcome you officially to the Maryland Region Scholastic Art and Writing Awards ceremony, an event that celebrates the imagination, the talent, the dedication of our state's young creators. The Scholastic Awards hold remarkable legacy. It's a more than 100-year-old event. They have been the nation's longest running and most prestigious recognition for students in grades 7 to 12, championing the voices, visions, and stories of young artists and writers. Tonight is not just about that history, it's about you, each and every one of you, who dared to imagine something new, to take an idea from your mind and your heart and bring it to life. And that takes courage, it takes discipline, and it takes a belief, sometimes a quiet belief, and sometimes a bold belief, but a belief nonetheless that your voice is important and your voice matters, and you had the courage to share it, and you're being recognized for that courage and that creativity tonight.
Chris, when we were at the ceremony, it became very clear to me that there's a power in recognizing students for their talents, especially at a young age. Can you tell us about any conversations you've had with past winners and the lasting impact that being seen through Scholastic Awards has had on them?
Absolutely. And, the most common story I hear is a variation on something like this. This was the first time that I shared my creative work with someone who wasn't my teacher or my family member or my friend or someone who knew me, an anonymous stranger who had expertise in the field, who looked at it or read it and thought it was good. And that kind of validation from an outside source at a pivotal moment in your creative development can be really transformative. And we hear that over and over and over again. There's a famous quote from the photographer Richard Avedon, in which he talks about how the recognition that the awards provided him were the sort of the most important pat on the back he ever received in his entire career. But I also just hear that from people in all walks of life, how it really kind of changes their self-image and it validates their work. And it's a way of affirming the fact that what they have to say and what they have to express is meaningful, and that other people want to hear what they have to say and want to see what they want to put out there. And that can be a really powerful thing.
Agreed. So let's go back to the top of the world to hear from a few of our award winners at the ceremony. First, we'll hear from Joy and then from Veronica.
So my name is Joanna Chappell. I go by Joy. I'm a senior at Delaney High School, and I won the Writing Award today for publishing my, I don't think I titled it, but it was a poetry piece about my uncle who recently died in 2023. So I just wanted to express my feelings, express my emotions missing him, and just express to all those out there how they feel about their own grief that they're dealing with.
Joy, tell us a little bit about the event for those who are tuning in and listening. Can you kind of paint a picture of what's going on in the space, who you've seen as you walked around?
The event is absolutely amazing. I'm so glad I came. I know I get invited to some events from school. I'll be like, I don't really want to go, but no, I've seen a lot of amazing performances, amazing singers, amazing poetry writers, and just amazing people sharing their work, sharing their art, and it really inspired me to keep going, keep writing, keep being creative, just keep doing what I'm doing and inspire other people.
I'm Veronica King. I'm from, the Baltimore area. I'm an upcoming senior in high school. Being here tonight, being a 3 Silver Key Award recipient, it's a blessing to even be here today, and I'm just so excited. The ceremony was great. It was nice. I had friends that won awards that, I was here to celebrate as well, so it wasn't just my, celebration. It was for everybody, and I just loved being up here. The scenery is amazing, and I'm just very blessed.
Can you tell us about one of your pieces? You mentioned that there was one about an elephant, like a stuffed animal, a stuffy. What inspired that, and what's maybe the takeaway from that story?
Yeah, so there's this stuffed elephant I've had since I was a baby. Like literally, I would say a week after I was born, I was given it. And it's one that my mom had, with the same timeline. She received that when she was a week old. And I kind of wrote the poem in the perspective of the elephant, like its eyes. It was called Through the Eyes of Ellie, which is what I named it. And it was how, it watched my mom, have her first tantrum, cry, go to high school, all these things that I'm now doing. And it kind of connects me even closer with her through this like third party that's like not either of us watching each other, but something watching both of us and kind of just navigating that experience through their, or the elephant's perspective more so than ours. I think it was really interesting. It was very unique and special to me. And I think the key takeaway is that, with parents' relationships specifically, a lot of times you feel like it's just the two of you, but there are so many, parts that connect you together more than just being parents. That elephant has transcended generations, and I hope to give that to my child. I hope that it becomes a generational, experience, that this elephant gets to see all of us grow up, because it's this never-ending thing. It doesn't die, it doesn't pass away, it doesn't disappear, it stays forever. And, we won't, but this elephant will exist for generations beyond me. And it's just a good reminder that, our relationships last longer than the two bodies that are there within it. It lasts, and it can transcend through either each other, the memories you make, the objects you have, or, just moments you share. And that's what I wanted to give away.
Chris, I know there are lots of award categories to consider, and also just lots of people applying from throughout the country. Can you give us a bit of insight into the adjudication process, how that works, and also how jurors are selected?
Absolutely. I'll start with the process itself, because it has changed in terms of how it's done, but not in terms of its guiding values. So over the course of 100 years, we've gone from reviewing everything on physical paper to now a fully digital adjudication system. But the values and the criteria that we're looking for remain unchanged. The most important thing is that we're looking for originality. So something that is unique to the teenager who is expressing themselves. We're also looking for skill, and that can be defined in many different ways, depending on the category and depending on what the individual jurors are looking for. And then finally, we're looking for the emergence of a personal voice or vision. These are teenagers. We're not expecting that they're sort of done developing and that their minds won't change and that their creative practice won't transform dramatically over the years. But what we're looking for is something that is reflective of someone who's starting to express themselves in a way that is unique to them and the way they see the world. And in terms of the jurors, one of the great things about the awards, and one of the aspects of the awards that I think make them so valuable to communities around the country, is that we have this model where the regional awards are presented by partners like you in communities around the country. And those partners do the job of recruiting jurors in their communities at the regional level. We handle it at the national level. But I think the idea of recruiting regional jurors is very important. Those jurors could be practicing artists and writers. They could be curators or people who work at galleries or editors. They might even be educators or graduate students. But one of the beautiful things about having these regional partnerships is that when you enter the awards and are considered for that first round of recognition, your work is being looked at by people who are of your community and from your community. And I think that that makes the recognition feel really special and relevant and close to home. And then at the national level, of course, we're trying to recruit a really representative, broad range of jurors from diverse fields who represent all of those different skill sets that I was talking about earlier. For us at the national level, really the diversity of the juror pool is key. So having lots of different voices and perspectives in the room so that we can try to recognize a broad range of work that is representative of the creative expression of teens all around the country.
Creative expression is such a valuable skill. And so knowing that we had abundant imagination in the building, I came prepared with questions to get our winners thinking outside the box. So we're here with Vivian Howe, a Gold and Silver Key Award recipient. If you could travel to any fictional world, where would you go and why?
I think this is kind of a hard question for me because rather than reading a lot of fiction, I tend to read a lot of biographies and a lot of I don't know, like memoirs from real people, because I think instead of trying to escape or imagine another world, I kind of want to experience and change this one more. So I think, honestly, I'm happy living here. I just wish I could make this world that we're in right now better instead of going somewhere else.
And what would that look like to you, a better world?
I think a better world would be where everyone's a bit more compassionate. I've been noticing a lot more recently with the rise of like social media and, COVID happening. Sometimes it seems kind of stark to see people, sometimes feel like they're losing their humanity, losing like what makes them human, like real connection and real genuine emotion. So I think ideally for me, I would want a world where people are more authentic and open again.
I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. Chris, what would you say makes a submission to the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards really stand out?
Well, I can speak for me. And I do have the opportunity to give guidance to many, many jurors at the beginning of their adjudication process. I can't speak for individual jurors, and that's, I think, part of the beauty of the process.
Right.
Like each juror brings their own perspective. But I would say, for me at least, it goes back to that idea of originality, and that is so very important. I've been looking at variations of teamwork for 20 years, right? So I'm used to seeing what a painting or a drawing or a photograph or a critical essay or a poem that is a response to a classroom assignment might look like. I respond most powerfully to works that really go beyond that aren't just a response to a teacher's prompt, but that really show a young person starting to see the world in their own way and putting something of themselves into it. So, it's that spark of the new that is most exciting. And I think particularly for those of us who work on this program, it's part of what makes the program so exciting. It's like when you're looking at the work as it comes in, it's like you're seeing the future of American creativity. Like a great rendering of a bicycle is impressive, and might win an award. But like, I'm always blown away by something that really sort of points to the future, and that is inviting me to see the future of creativity in a way that I hadn't expected before.
Speaking of creativity, I'd like to introduce William. His photography, titled "The Words of the Bigots Are Written on the Bathroom Walls," was nominated for the American Visions Award, one of Scholastic's most prestigious recognitions, and will go on to compete for a national medal. Here's William.
The photo, it basically depicts a bathroom stall within a school with writing all over, referencing things that have been said to me because of my struggles as a gay Jew, which, being gay and Jewish, as an Orthodox Jew especially, there is a lot of incongruity within that community sometimes. And obviously there's going to be bigots wherever you go, but
Sure.
For me at least, it felt extra bad because of the religious component.
What sort of things were said to you?
So there was obviously a lot of negativity. So there were some that referenced thoughts of people trying to tell me to kill myself, or using slurs against me, saying that I'm not right, that my sexuality is wrong in some way.
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly sorry that those things were said to you. Is there anything that you can take away from it? Like, do you feel like you've almost been able to own this a little bit? Because otherwise it's maybe starts to feel like it's out of your control.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was out of my control because I didn't choose to come out at the time that it happened, because basically I had a digital diary that was discovered and was leaked basically among my school. So I didn't have the opportunity to come out on my own terms, which was definitely majorly impacted me. But over time, I ended up leaving that school just because the environment there I didn't feel comfortable and I didn't have friends there. And I ended up switching to a different school. And I walked into that school with not hiding the fact that I'm gay. And I found the friends who love me anyway, or who love me and don't care about it at all. And because of that, it has allowed me, although originally it was out of my control, I've kind of reclaimed that identity for myself and chosen that I am proud of my identity and I am okay with it, who I am, and I am not going to hide that.
Well, I definitely think that you were very brave in this whole endeavor, not just creating art about something that had happened, but facing these kinds of things and taking that control back. Like, that's so huge. So thank you for sharing your story, and yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Chris, what's been the most rewarding thing for you as an executive director?
The most rewarding aspect of my work is the encounter with the entries every year. It's that moment when we get to national adjudication, when I'm sitting in panels or getting ready for scholarship selections and reading or reviewing the work that is being considered, because I know that I'm going to encounter pieces of art and writing that don't just take my breath away, though they do, but actually challenge me and surprise me. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm amazed that the teenagers of this country are producing the kind of work that can surprise me after all this time. And it gives me a lot of hope. And it's the hope that the teens who enter the program give me that is far and away the most rewarding aspect of my work.
Chris, I just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Applications for 2026 are open soon in October. Do you have any advice for students interested in entering the competition?
Far and away, the most important advice I would give is be bold and be brave. Don't just submit the work that feels safe. Take a chance, put yourself out there. You lose nothing by entering that piece that maybe feels a little daring or a little different. But the recognition and the opportunity to really push yourself and share a piece of yourself with others is its own reward. So that's my biggest piece of advice.
Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I'm looking forward to 2026 entries here in Maryland.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
Thanks to Chris, our CEO, Robin Murphy, and all the award-winning students featured on the podcast. Remember, if you're a creative person with a story to share, reach out to me at srustin@promotioninarts.org to be featured on the podcast. And as always, when creatives thrive, we all rise.